Okay, so this video is on how to revise quantities on a PO. And you're going to need to do this when, well, there's different reasons you'll need to do it. In this case, yesterday we sent a PO to NSR, and you can see it here, just kind of a regular PO. But what you might notice is we ordered 12 by 24 tiles and we ordered 13 square feet. And those tiles are 2 square feet each, so you have to order in even numbers or you can order the exact square footage, but you have to get the conversion for that. So in this case, we just ordered 13. We need to actually order either 12 or 14. So vendor has asked us to revise to 14. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And the way we're going to do that is I'm going to bring QFloors into the screen here. And you want to first pull up that invoice. In this case, let's see. Invoice number is 17061. 7061. Okay, so you have your invoice here for your customer, and you can see here it has 13 square feet on it. And you have here your material number. You're going to double click that material number. And you'll see here, this is the material number, and this here is actually represents the invoice being connected to this material number. So it looks like just a little random line, but it's actually pretty important because it indicates to us that these two things are connected. This invoice line is connected to this material line. And right now it has 13 square feet on the original quantity. And what we're going to want to do is we're first going to change the status back to purchase order. And then what we're going to want to do is change the quantity to 14 square feet. Now, if we were wanting to lower it down to 12, this it wouldn't allow us to because this has 13 square feet. So we would have to actually first turn this to 12. So you really have to just watch which way the quantity is going, if it's going up or down, and what order you change. So in this case, because we're going up to 14 square feet, we can do that here first. Basically the higher number you want to, how do I say this? You want to have it so that your material quantity is always larger or the same as your invoice line. So in this case, we're going up to 14 square feet, so we're fine to make that change. But again, if we were going down to 12, the original quantity, 12 square, turning that to 12 square feet would be a smaller number than what's on the invoice. And QFloors can't understand why we would do that, which kind of makes sense. You can't sell someone 13 square feet and you're pulling from 12. So in this case, we're fine, but it's just something important to pay attention as you are doing those changes. You're going to have to watch the quantities, which one is larger and which one is smaller. Make sure you always have enough in your material line to cover whatever is on your invoice, and then you adjust accordingly. Especially in lines like this, you're going to make them match up. So in this case, we're going to do 14 square feet. It says status purchase order. Original quantity 14, press enter, as always with QFloors, save. So now our material line, if we go to purchase orders here, it's here in the purchase order section. If we had multiple lines on this invoice for NSR, we needed to revise the whole PO, we would move those lines over as well and just do the same thing with moving them to purchase order. We wouldn't adjust their quantities if they didn't need it. But we would move those over as well because you need all of the lines. And unfortunately with QFloors, you do have to manually move them all over. But in this case, we only have one, so it's easy. So then now that we have 14 in our material line, we can pretty easily go to 14 here on the invoice. It shouldn't give us any problems. Perfect. And then you're going to see there's a $10.49 balance. That is something that the sales rep should work out with the client or with Patrick. So you don't have to worry about that, although it's good to communicate. Typically, this will be communicated and agreed upon prior to making these changes, but if you, like in this case, the vendor's letting us know. So I'm going to want to go and let them know, hey, I had to revise this. How did you want to proceed? Do we want to cover this for the client? Do we want to say, hey, sorry, you actually owe an extra $10? And yeah, so it's just something to note. So then we go here and we actually just send the PO pretty much as normal. You're going to see it's, well, now it's not, but it was a yellow box. And that indicates that the line has been checked already previously. So again, just like you would normally send a PO, NSR, I like to copy the reference number, make the PO the reference number as well. And then I will just do, like, often I'll put revised QTY for quantity from 13 square feet to 14 square feet. Just so we know if we see this PO, down the line, we're looking back at the history, we can kind of see what was going on. We just have this little indicator of why we were doing this. You can look at the email history as well, but obviously it's always helpful to just kind of be a little redundant. And then the other key thing is making sure that the PO number is the same, because they can change if you added a line or something like that. In this case, it should be pretty straightforward. Let's see if I can, what am I even doing? PO number is NSR 17061-2. Here it is as well. So we're gonna just, did I already print it? Gosh, look at me. Okay, so we're gonna print it and save it as a PDF, just like we normally do. Desktop, minimize this, and then I will often just keep it on the same thread. So I'll just say, thanks, Serene. Please see attached revised PO. Best Maggie, attach it. Oops, I already did. And I always like to look at the PO, just make sure everything looks good. 14 square feet, 13 to 14, same PO number. It's going to be the same material. You typically don't have to worry about that. And we're all good. So it's pretty straightforward, but just one thing to keep in mind is making sure you're mindful of that connection of this to the material number. If they disconnect and you generate another line out of sales confirmation, this could become just kind of a dead material line that's not connected to anything. We forget about it. Then later it's just floating in there. We don't know why it's there. We have to kind of look into this again. And so just, it's pretty easy process, but just being mindful of that connection of the material to the invoice number, and also just watching that quantity, because that can just give you trouble. But it works itself out. It's just something to remember while you're doing it. Yeah, and so that is how to revise quantities on POs. Okay, so I've actually finished recording this video, and I'm just gonna try to add this little piece on, because upon reviewing the video, I want to just add or note that it is actually very important to make sure you're always communicating with the sales reps prior to making these revisions. For the purpose of making the video, I just wanted to show how to do it. And it can take some time waiting on a sales rep. So I just wanted to show, and again, this was also a very low quantity and price change, so very low stakes, but really in any case, it's better to just check, because it's also possible in the case of this video that the client would actually want to go down to 12 square feet and doesn't want to pay, $10. They want, $9 back, or however it goes. And so it's just much easier to just talk to the sales rep and have them, let you know how to proceed on a revision. Pretty much in any case, that communication is always great. And just want to make sure I emphasize that and note that for the purpose of this video.